one of the things that I know you had said, talked about earlier, and I want to go back to it a little bit, is you got your second opinion. You had to kind of talk to your doctors and say, hey, this is not working. You went for about, what was it, 2 years of having
Yeah.
pain and just questioning yourself. And I think it's an important thing to talk to for other patients to hear about self-advocacy and how important that is, and how far do you take that, and what does that look like for you?
Oh, for me, I think it's extremely important to advocate for yourself. I've been doing nothing but advocating for myself since my diagnosis, and I feel like everybody has to do that. I switched doctors. My first doctor, I felt like I felt like he was too busy for me, and I just didn't feel like he was caring for me. So that's why I knew I needed that second opinion. I needed to get another doctor who was going to take my care seriously and who I felt safe with. So absolutely, you have to advocate for yourself if you're not feeling comfortable in your situation. It's enough that we have to deal with cancer.
Mm-hmm.
We shouldn't have to deal with anything else when it comes to the care we're getting. We should just be receiving the best care, period.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's so important.
Yeah, when I go to my oncology center, I notice there's so many elderly people that, and now because of COVID, you can't have a visitor come in and sit with you. At least back then, they had some family members that could interpret things a little bit better for them, but I know they're not self-advocating like they could be, a lot of them, and it just makes me a little terrified and nervous for them, because it is so important. And I'm so glad that if I'm going through this, I'm young still, and I can stand up for myself, and I can look for those things to
Yeah.
make sure I'm getting the care I need. But it's hard.
Oh, so hard. Yeah.
You don't want to be that real pushy patient, so that they're like hating it when you come there. But at the same time, you got to ask so many questions and make
Yeah.
sure that they're doing the right thing for you.
Oh, absolutely. I always make sure that I have lots of questions, and I always make sure that if I have lots of questions, that I give them a heads up that I have lots of questions.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
that a lot.
Yeah.
Another couple questions I had about, I know you talked about how hard it was when you drove home that first time from getting the diagnosis, and all you could think about was your kids. And I had that same thing. They told me 2 to 3 years back then, and I was just like, well, now we've got to think about all these things, and that was really difficult mental and emotional stress. Would you say that was the hardest part, and for you,
Yes.
was during that time?
Always. Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I still struggle.
Yeah.
Still, my kids are everything. They're my entire world. And yeah, honestly, I never thought about myself at all. Through any of it, it's easy for me to leave,
Mm-hmm.
It's easy for me not to be here.
Yeah. Yeah. But you think, I was given these children to raise, and it's really hard to think that they're not going to have that mom, that's what I kept thinking. I was given these to raise, I should be their mom, but I know that if I'm not here, my husband will do fine, and he'll have a lot of people to come around him and help him. So it's kind of a selfish thought in a lot of ways, but but boy, it's a hard one. So
it is.
And I appreciate all those things that you're saying, that you don't think about yourself, but there is that emotional pull inside of you? Is there any certain things that help you to get through those more emotional or mental stress times?
Oh, absolutely. I've been doing nothing but seeking out ways to feel normal.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'm sure you know what that is.
Sure.
I'm sure you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do exercise. I exercise a lot. I meditate. I learned to meditate, especially early on in my diagnosis. I don't do it as much anymore because I'm a lot more settled than I used to be. So I did meditation. I sought out help from therapists, psychologists.
Right.
I joined support groups. I created support groups.
Mm-hmm.
I literally just surrounded myself in support, and all the support that I could get, I surrounded myself in it. And that's been my greatest gift, I think, since my diagnosis, is the people who I've met throughout this journey so far. And, I've met some other young moms, and we connected and we talk almost every day.
Yeah.
We check up on each other. We just speaking to one another makes us feel like, okay, we can live this, we can live this life. We can do this, So support groups, huge. What else? My kids, just doing more things with them. That if I'm feeling stressed out, really stressed out, and there's nothing I can do, I've tried everything. And I'll just go to my kids and I'll just sit with them, and I'll just try to be in the moment with them, and just, hug them and kiss them, or I'll take them to the park, or just anything to get my mind off of, what I'm stressing about. So yeah, I've done a lot.
That
I've
sounds
done a lot.
great. That I think my kids were one of my biggest blessings when I started this in a lot of ways, because it kept me so busy, and it kept thoughts out of my mind, and back on them. And so I don't know that I could have had such a good attitude about it. And I think I would have been too focused on everything if I didn't have them to keep me busy, keep me distracted.
Totally.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Mhm.
What would you say your style for dealing with this is? Do you like to know everything? Like, do you research everything, or would you rather just not, just know the basics about what you need to know and then move on?
I need to know everything,
Okay.
which is not good.
Yeah.
I'm noticing. I've learned that. I'm learning that it's not good. I don't need to know everything.
Yeah.
I've actually just had this. I had a moment of clarity 2 nights ago, laying in bed, thinking that I've become too obsessed with it. Like I'm too absorbed in it, with reading the articles and the groups on Facebook. Like I'm too consumed. So I decided 2 days ago that I'm going to take a really big step back, a huge step back. I'm going to just stop thinking about other people and what they're going through and their stories and their treatments, and I'm going to stop thinking about all the articles that come out, because I'm just searching for an answer that's not there.
Right.
Basically.
Yeah. You're right.
Really.
Mhm.
So, and all it's doing is it's stressing me out. So I've decided that I'm going to take a big shift. I'm going to shift how I deal with all this, because I can't keep operating this way.
Yeah. And I think, I'm more of a kind of in the middle, where I like to know certain things, but I don't know like a lot of the big terminology as much. I don't go into a lot of that. But I do connect with people like on Facebook and different things. and on the Facebook pages. And sometimes even from them, I have to take a break. A couple more questions that I want to ask that are kind of more personal, and maybe talk about some advice that we can give to others as we go through these things. But the first one is a little personal, like I said, but how do you and your husband deal with this together?
How do we deal with it together?
Yeah.
I don't know. We just try to keep things moving. Like I said, we just try to keep life as normal as possible, really.
Yeah.
You know, I have a lot of support from family, so that helps a lot. My mom is my sister, my dad, I have all those people close to me, so that helps.
Yeah.
So that helps in how we deal with it, because they're always, they come around a lot. Yeah, that's probably it. We just try to keep things going as normal as possible.
Yeah. Do
Yeah.
you, I mean, like there, with my husband and I, there's some nights where we just have to talk things through, and sometimes there's tears or, just frustration. A lot of that depends on when I'm on my dexamethasone too. But
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
so I don't know, are those, does that happen sometimes, or do you just mainly just, like you said,
No.
keep it normal?
Yeah, I think we kind of just we try not to talk about it too much, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess we kind of just try to forget about it in a
Yeah.
sense.
Like you go to the doctor's appointments and you make sure everybody knows what's happening there, and then that's about
Yeah.
as far as it goes.
Yeah, pretty
Mhm.
much. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think when you have a family, that's a good way to handle it.
Yep.
As long as you're getting what you need out of, and getting enough support, that's the
Oh
biggest.
yeah. I've got tons of support. I am very, very fortunate in that sense.
Well, that's great.
Mhm.
Another thing is, as I know it's different in Canada, but 23 years of this has been a big financial drain for us, and it's getting better because we've made better decisions as far as certain things. But boy, when we first started, we just didn't have the money we had good insurance, but for traveling so much, traveling from Wyoming to Denver all the time, it was a big financial strain. Do you find that cancer is expensive for you?
No, not in Canada. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we're pretty lucky here. No, it hasn't been. I mean, the only financial drain is, I haven't been working.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that obviously affected us. But no.
Yeah, and a little bit of travel. You said something about you had private insurance. Was that?
Yes.
Mhm.
Oh, actually, sorry. My clinical trial pays for everything.
Okay.
Yeah, they pay for all my gas and parking. And then a little extra on top of it. So I actually get money from being on the clinical trial every month.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, yeah, it is. Yeah, they'll even pay for my hotel if I didn't feel like driving up in the morning. They said anytime I wanted to just stay in a hotel, I could do that too. So
Wow.
I'm pretty fortunate. I feel very fortunate.
Okay. Well, that's a
Mhm.
good segue into the clinical trial, because a lot of people aren't on those. I've never been on one. And so what does that look like? And I know you've been having a lot of side effects as far as nausea and that kind of thing. And how do you manage those side effects? But also, I just don't even know what a clinical trial looks like and how it's run.
Mhm.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
How do you feel? Like, do you have any lesions on your body or anything?
Most of them are either healing or healed. There's only a couple of active ones that they're just little tiny ones, like in my ankle. that they're just still trying to, and maybe if I did a PET scan tomorrow, that would show that they were inactive. Because the selinexor really took care of the tumor I had on my sternum went away so fast. And so really I'm not having any major lesion issues. And that's how they track me, because I don't have the M protein. So, really we're looking for pain first, and then my light chains changing. But yeah, so it's been so nice. When I go into the clinic and they're like, any pain today? And I'm like, there's no pain. And they look at me like, really?
That's wonderful. Have you ever had kidney problems?
No, never had kidney problems at all. Have you?
That's never. I've always been, like I said, very healthy. Like everything's been really great. All my organs are great. It's just the bone lesion, that's all I've ever contended with. And that makes it's a relief to know that you haven't dealt with any of that stuff either.
Oh.
And a lot of people that I know that are diagnosed young, in their mid 30s, we seem to all we're all a little bit similar in that sense. Because I know another guy, you probably know Michael too. Robin and Michael, I'm sure you've heard his story. Same thing, he had a plasmacytoma in his sacrum in his mid 30s, 20 years ago. And also he's never had nothing with his kidneys either. Nothing. It was always just the bones, and that was it. So
yep, that's basically me too. I mean, about a year ago, when my light chains were going up, and they were like in the 70s, which is super high for me. And I started feeling really bad, but it didn't affect any organs or anything. I just felt so tired. I felt weak. I think the myeloma was causing those kind of symptoms. And, and lesions are popping up everywhere, and that tumor was growing. And so that was really a strange thing, because I'd never felt that way before. I usually feel fine, except for the lesions and the pain from those. So
wow,
very interesting.
Very, yeah.
So, well, I sure enjoy talking to you about this stuff. Is there anything that you would like to, share with other people, and advice that you can give other people who are newly diagnosed? What would you say to them?
I would say to them that you cannot change your path, but you can change the way you react to it. That is how I live my life now. Mm-hmm. That is my biggest piece of advice I can give to anybody.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I sure appreciate that you're willing to, find that support, find, people to talk to. That's one thing that I talk to my husband a lot about things, but, and I have a couple of friends, but I really think it's important to go to see someone professionally. And I think that's going to be one of my next steps. After 23 years, you would think I would have done this before, but.
Wow. Yeah, I have learned some very valuable tools through my therapist. I actually see a chronic disease specialist.
Okay.
Really? So he is very good when it comes to dealing with cancer patients, or anybody with any kind of illness.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. For sure.
Yeah.
It's a hard cancer, because we just don't know what we're looking at as far as timeline goes for us. Mm-hmm. And so I think one of the biggest things, especially when I was first diagnosed, is every time I went in for a checkup, I was just waiting for them to tell me, oh, numbers are going back up. It's back, whatever.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we're always waiting for the ball to drop.
Yes.
Yeah. Did you ever get over that?
I think it has gotten easier. It's just because it's just my life now. But when we first started, and I was going every 3 months and then every 6 months for checkups, but now I'm in there every week. So, it's just part of my life. But yeah, when we were doing those every 3 to 6 month checks, you know, you just kind of have to sturdy yourself and go in there and say, okay, whatever happens, you know, we're just going to deal with it. But yeah, it's a hard thing.
Yeah, it is. I know. And like right now, what I'm really struggling with is I'm healthy. I'm almost in complete remission. My back feels great. You'd think I would be happy and jumping up and jumping up in joy. I'm
Yeah.
not.
Yes.
And I'm like, am I broken? Like, is there something wrong with me? Like, what happened here? Like, I should be happy. I should be celebrating. But I can't.
Yeah.
I just don't know why.
You have this cloud over your head all the time of saying, okay, what's going to happen next? What's going to happen next? And
yeah.
Oh, and for me, I don't know if it's selfish, but like we said before, we look fine, but yet inside there's all this stuff going on in our bodies and people can't see it. And we're just having to kind of struggle with it internally.
Yep.
And so I think that makes it difficult for us.
Does. It does. Yeah. Makes it really hard.
Yeah. We didn't lose our hair. We don't look emaciated. You know, our skin color is still really good. And not that I want to walk around looking sick. That is not the point. Oh. The point is that, you know, when you're talking to people and they just don't understand, well, why are you not, like you said, jumping for joy? Well, because I'm sick and I need to deal with this and I need to, you know, who knows what's coming next. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And especially when you have little kids, you just want to live for them and get as far as you can. So
yeah,
exactly. But I just think you're on a great path, and I just have a lot of hope for you, and I think you're going to do really well. Thank
you. Thanks for saying so. Yeah. It was nice to talk with you, and thank you for picking me.
Well, you were the first person I thought of. I was like, oh, I know Elise has an amazing story. And so you're the first one that I thought, I'd love to talk to her face to face and hear it personally. And so it's really good.
That's great. Well, I really enjoyed it.
Good. I'm glad.